Hello friends, and welcome back to Growing with Plot 21. I just wanted to spend a bit of time to give you my top tips on what to do when you first get your allotment. Either some people get their very first allotment, or it's their first spring and they don't really know what to do. And obviously I've only had the allotment for about just under a year. It'll be a year in May, so I've learned quite a bit over the past 12 months, and I thought I'd share my top tips for you. So number one is assess. So when you get your allotment plot, you want to assess what you've got, have a look around and see what's usable, what's not. Take loads of photos, take loads of videos, and have a look and see what you've got, because you never know what you might find in your allotment. When I first got my allotment, we ended up with a greenhouse and a sink. Can you imagine a sink? So I managed to get the greenhouse up. Obviously it fell down a few times. Sorry about the dogs. And then the sink, I haven't used it properly yet, but I salvaged it, and the plan is to turn it into like a podding bench or something like that to be used. So have a good look around your plot, see what it's like, see what's happening, see if anything's growing. You might have some stuff growing. I had an apple tree, I also had a gooseberry bush and blackcurrant bush. So yeah, have a look around and assess what you've got. Tip number 2 is cover, clear and sort out. So the first thing you might need to do, depending on how overgrown the plot is to give it a good clear out, sort it out, and then if it is full of brambles, it is full of weeds, I do recommend clearing it, covering it with some weed membrane, keep it down. As with my plot, I'm only working on the front half of the plot at the moment, and I'm covering the rest. So that's always good to use, because you want to have something to use so that you can get growing, but you don't want it to overgrow while you're working on certain areas of the plot. Because I cut it down and then it all grew back, and then I cut it down again and then it grew back again, and then I made the decision to basically cover and clear the whole of the plot. So that is my tip for you, so that you've got at least a space or an area to grow in. Tip number 3 is plan. So when I got the plot, I didn't plan anything. I didn't know what I was going to grow. I just winged it and hope for the best, which is, you can do, it's good, but it's always good to have a little bit of a plan, because then at least you know what you want. Because the last thing you want to do is to start growing things that you don't like or you're not going to eat. So grow things that you're going to eat, you want, you like, or are expensive in the shops, so you can grow them and save a bit of money. So plan. It doesn't have to be a massive plan. You can just plan that you want to grow rhubarb, or you want to grow some fruits, or you want to grow some brassicas, and then that's it. And then find some space to get growing. And that leads us into tip number 4, which is grow. And you want to get growing. Doesn't matter how much usable space you've got, there is always space to grow in the plot. So when I started, I grew potatoes in a bag, and I had cabbages that were just in a random strip of soil that I cleared and I was able to grow in. When I made my first raised bed, it was a pumpkin bed, and what an amount of pumpkins it was. So definitely you want to grow, even if you just grow 2 things, 3 things, and then wait till the following year or the end of the year to grow some more. But definitely get growing, because when you see things grow, it'll spur you on to do more. You'll see things grow and then you'll think, right, I'll clear, or I'll tidy, or I'll do more jobs. And you know it's a massive change in the plot and in yourself when you've got that give to get going and grow things and see them grow. So yeah, definitely you need to get growing. Finally, tip number 5 is compost. Start thinking about compost from day one. Either have a tiny little pile in the plot, build your own compost bin out of pallets like I did, or just use a compost bin from the shop, or even one from home, but just get compost started, because compost is will be one of the most expensive items you'll be purchasing on the plot if you're using raised beds, if you're not using the dirt, if you're doing the no dig method. But get compost early, start it growing early, because then within a few months of starting the compost you'll have something hopefully usable. But compost from day one is the way to go. And a bonus tip is secure everything down. So if you have greenhouses, peg them down, secure them down. If you have anything that could blow away, doesn't matter how big, how small, secure it down to the ground. And you don't want to happen to me like I did when I nearly lost the greenhouse 3 times before I pegged it down properly. So secure things down, and then at least then they're safe, they're secure, and they'll last you a long time. So I hope you found this video useful, and it's given you a few tips on what to do when you first get your allotment plot. And if you have think of any tips that I've not mentioned, or you want to comment on other tips that you found as you've been starting your plots, then put them in the comments below. And as always, happy growing.